Hello, today's video is part 2 of two-step equations. So by the end of the video, you will be able to solve two-step equations a little bit better than the last time. So let's go ahead. We will be taking notes on your own sheet of paper for this video, so make sure it's blank. And the biggest thing I can stress for you is make sure you copy down everything I write down. I'll be looking for all work being shown, and if it's not, I will send you into the hall to finish it. And we don't want that because then you're missing out on work time. So everything that gets written down, write it down. So let's get started. Practice together. I'm going to do the first one, and then I'll have you try the second one on your own. If you feel like you can do it all by yourself, you can just pause the video and go for it, and then check in. Otherwise, we can do it together. So first, the goal is to get x all by itself, and x is right here. We want it alone, and it's not alone right now. We have a -6 that is connected to it, and it's connected by adding. So I'm just going to make a note off to the side that we have a -6 here. Now this is where it gets tricky because it is connected by adding, but if you remember, we look to the number and the sign in front. That tells us what we have. So we actually have -6 here, and so then to do the opposite, we're going to add 6, and then we are dividing by 4. And so we are going to multiply by 4. So these are the two things that we're going to do. The big question is, which one do we do first? And we are going to do reverse order of operations, which means we are going to add 6 first. So that's what I'm going to do. Pay careful attention to where I'm lining things up. We have a constant here, and then our solution over here. We do it to both sides. Notice I'm not adding 6 to the variable because we can't add and subtract variables with numbers, so it's lined up with the constant. And -6 plus 6 will give us 0, so we're circling that. And then I'm left with x divided by 4 on the left side equals, and then our solution, -5 plus 6 would be +1. The second step now is to multiply by 4. Again, we're doing that on both sides. And again, you're showing all of your work here. 4 divided by 4, that's going to be 1. So I'm going to draw 1 there. Okay. And so then I'm just going to be left with x equals. Now, solution side, 1 times 4 is 4. So my answer to that problem is x equals 4. All right, if you're feeling comfortable enough, try this one by yourself and pause it, and then check in when you're done. If you're not feeling comfortable, then we can walk through it together. All right, here we go. This time we are trying to get v by itself, and so first we have to ask ourselves how it's connected, and notice we have a 6 connected to v, and that 6 is actually negative if we pay attention to the sign in front of it. So -6, and that's by multiplying. So we're going to undo it by dividing by -6. And then we have a 10 on here. Now that 10, the sign in front of it is positive. It's not there, so it's +10. So I'm going to -10. So these are the two things that I'm going to do. Which one do I do first? Well, reverse order of operations, I'm going to subtract first. So subtract 10 on both sides. Notice I'm putting it under the constant, not the variable. And then I'm also subtracting 10 on the solution side. 10 minus 10 is 0. What am I left with then? -6v equals, and then on the solution side, -104 minus 10 will be -114. All right, second step now is to divide by -6. Now I'm going to do that to the variable and the solution. And -6 divided by -6, that gives me 1. So I'm left with 1v equals, and then -114 divided by -6 is going to be +19. So that is my answer. All right, more examples for you. These ones are a little bit trickier. Please divide your paper into those 4 sections so that it's laid out exactly like how I have it. I will be checking for exactness here. And showing your work also, so there's that reminder for you. Everything I do, you have to copy it down exactly, okay? Here, this is a little bit trickier because if you look, that dividing sign isn't just over our variable anymore, which makes this problem a little bit unique. It's actually over the entire thing. So what happens here is we are going to multiply by that 6 because it's dividing by 6. We're going to multiply by 6 on both sides first to get rid of that denominator. And -1 times 6 is -6 on our solution side, then equals, this is going to turn into that 1 we were talking about, and then we are left with 5 plus x. Now, we're trying to get x by itself, which means we have to get rid of that 5. That 5 is adding 5, so we're going to subtract 5 on both the variable side and the solution side. And when I do that, I get left with x equals -11, and there's my answer. All right, example number 2, same type of thing. Here we have dividing by 3 over the entire thing. It's the denominator. It's now a fraction. So I have to do the opposite, multiply by 3 on the variable side and the solution side. Variable side, that turns into a 1. So I'm left with v plus 9 equals, and then 8 times 3 is 24. Then I can subtract 9 from that v, so that v is all by itself. Again, you subtract 9 on the constant, not the variable, and then I subtract 9 on the solution side also. And 9 minus 9 is 0, so I'm left with v equals, and then 24 minus 9 is 15. That is my final answer. All right, next 2 problems for you. These ones are a little bit unique because they're parentheses. This is the distributive property. That should look familiar. The only difference now is that we have a solution side. We didn't have that in the past. So just be aware of that. We're still going to do what we normally do. I'll walk you through it here. So first thing we're going to do now is distribute. So that we can see what's really happening. So we get 2n plus 10, and that shouldn't be new to you. You can make that box there, but I'm trying to go a little bit faster. And then that equals -2. Now I ask myself, how can I get n by itself? Okay, n's our variable. There is multiplying by 2 and adding 10 being done. So I need to undo those things. Order of operations, I have to undo that adding of 10 first, so I'm subtracting 10. Remember, I'm lining that up with my constant. Okay, we need to be very precise in what we're doing. So subtract 10 on the constant, oops, and subtract 10 on the solution side. 10 minus 10 is 0, so 2n equals, and then the solution side would be -12. Now, how is n attached? It's attached by multiplying by 2, so I'm going to divide by 2 on both the variable side and the solution side. And this becomes a 1, n, so n equals, and -12 divided by 2 is -6. So n equals -6. All right, last one, here we go. Distributive property again, so we have to distribute before we can untie. So we are going to take 144, that's our solution, equals -12 times x is -12x, and -12 times 5 is -60. So that's what we're left with. Now we can untie so that we get our variable by itself. So we first have to add 60 because of the subtracting 60. Again, we do that with to our constant and on the solution side. -60 and 60 are 0, so I'm left with -12x equals, And then 144 plus 60 is 204. And then x here is being multiplied by negative 12, so we're going to divide by negative 12 on the variable and the solution. And when I do that, I will get negative 17 equals x. That's our 1x here. Negative 17 equals x. Alright, your turn to practice these two new techniques. Pause the video and then check in with me again. Make sure you show all of your work. I'm really looking for that when I check your notes. Okay, really quick walkthrough. Negative 10 equals 10k minus 90. So I'm going to add 90 on both sides first. And that will give me 80 equals 10k. And then divide by 10 on both sides. 80 divided by 10 is 8 equals k. That's our answer for that one. Alright, second question. This one we have to multiply by negative 16 first to get rid of the denominator. So that turns into 1, and I now have n plus 5 equals 16. Then to get n by itself, I subtract 5 on both sides, and I will be left with n equals 11. Hopefully you got those two questions right. Alright, please put a giant smiley face on top of your paper so that I know, like kind of in the margin area at the very top, that you watched the entire video. Again, make sure you have everything shown, all of your work, just like I did. Thanks for watching.